Typical Colors 2, I could risk to say, that is the best fan-made or adaptation of Team Fortress 2, of course, ignoring things like its bugs, the hitbox system so bad, and how unbalanced are some classes. But despite its problems, it is a great game that has given me hours of fun, just as all things in this life were created little by little. Typical Colors is no exception to that rule. Today we present the beginnings of Typical Colors 2. It all started on a Thursday in August 2013, Roblox Fortress 2, a version of Team Fortress 2 for Roblox, more than a fan-made, for me, was a full-fledged adaptation, as you used the same characters and voices of the mercenaries of Team Fortress 2. The game reached its peak in 2014, it received good reception from the players, who felt a good potential in the game. You can find several gameplays in a playlist, the same playlist will be in the description. Fortunately, a good part of the gameplay is rescued in the form of videos, you can even see the old versus bosses, that's right. This game mode is from 2013 for Typical Colors, better said for its predecessor. If I had to make a comparison, for me Roblox Fortress 2 would be the Team Fortress of Quake, the beginning of everything, which made the saga advance to what it is now, and as we all know, after Team Fortress of Quake, Team Fortress Classic comes. The question that appears here, what would be the counterpart of Team Fortress Classic for Typical Colors 2? That question will be answered right now. As I said before, Roblox Fortress 2 received very good acceptance, and had a good rate of players by 2014, but apparently, they wanted it to be much more, that all its potential along with the Roblox engine, come out of fruit, and so it happened, what you are seeing right now, was the next thing that was created after Roblox Fortress 2, Typical Colors, which offered many improvements that you can easily see. Improvements and changes, there was a lot in the stage. The mercenaries were no longer those of Team Fortress 2, they were some kind of reinventions or adaptations, and as they were just starting, they do not have the names they have today. Trooper was known as Rocketman, the Flanker was called Shotgun, and the Markman, unchanged, continued to be called Sniper. As I said before, there were improvements, as in the visual aspect, technical aspect, in absolutely everything. It was a direct improvement that favored for good. Summarizing all this is a little difficult, but here it goes. The main differences with the predecessor, apart from the change of the characters, there were new weapons. The Doctor's secondary had become an Uzi, instead of the classic syringe gun that had the original medic. The Brute, instead of having his reliable minigun, had an M134, and a number of changes. Apart from being in the weapons, they were also in the physics, and now they were less rough and problematic. Remember earlier, I made a comparison with Quake's Team Fortress with Roblox Fortress 2, well in this case, Team Fortress Classic would be Typical Colors, a big step forward, which had a good run of acceptance for the Roblox community, taking into account that it was 2015, the Roblox community was getting bigger. Roblox Fortress 2 became something better when it was re-released and turned into Typical Colors, so what will happen to it in the future, when it will be re-released and turned into something even better? All of that happened eventually, and will try to be explained as best as possible, right now. Typical Colors again suffered another re-release, being called as Typical Colors 2. It could be said that it was getting more and more on top, as there was no Team Fortress 2 adaptation as good as Typical Colors 2. If Typical Colors was already a walking improvement of Roblox Fortress 2, Typical Colors 2 was even more. Not only were there new character models and weapons, there were also voice commands, with which served to communicate. Unlike Roblox Fortress 2, were own voice commands of the game, as the mechanic who had the voice of Mighty Blade, the developer for Rehaul. Also the versus bosses mode was back, after its absence in Typical Colors. Bloxy Boy, which in those days was called Bonk Boy, was back, and Christian Brutal Marksman, currently known as just Brutal Marksman, was also back. That, and among other changes, such as balance and visuals, had been, for me, the update that differed the most among the others, because it was so much before and after, that it was definitely a full-fledged sequel. Let's recap. There were new maps like Lumber, there were changes in the names of the classes, also in their aspects. They also gave them voices to communicate and have voice lines, new weapons, new models, more polished physics, Absolutely everything was a big step forward. It seems that Rehaul's team is determined to improve, and so it is, for after this stage comes typical colors to Rehaul. The last phase that Typical Colors 2 had before the official release, Typical Colors 2 Rehaul, arguably focused more on polishing existing things rather than adding more stuff. There was a transition from R6 to R15, there was another update with the model and attire of the characters, also several weapons underwent remodels, as it was already frequent. Also in the middle of the Rehaul phase, there were some interesting things, like the arsonist whose flamethrower fired bullets, due to script limitations. It was already for the final of the Rehaul that everything was finally defined. The agent had a change of gender, the arsonist returned to be able to throw fire with his flamethrower. As I said before, everything was being defined. All phases have been completed so far, Roblox Fortress 2, Typical Colors 2 before the Rehaul, and lastly, Typical Colors 2 Rehaul. Everything had come to an end, now we are with Typical Colors 2, just like that. Well, did you like the video? If so, I would like you to represent that opinion with a like. If you not only like it but also love it, you can also represent it with a subscription. That last one I would appreciate it very much, because 97.2% that watch my videos are not subscribed. If you have an idea for a video, don't hesitate to comment. Here Black, goodbye.
The soup can!